The headquarters of the Seminole County Republican Party in Florida vandalized overnight. The estimated $700 worth of damage included a profane message spray painted on the building's front window. We've kind of blacked some of that out there. And super glue squirted on the front door lock. That old trick. In light of what appears to be politically motivated mischief, let's talk about what President Biden plans to address in a primetime speech Thursday called the Soul of the Nation. We're told that's going to be the theme, with former New York State Senator David Carlucci and former Trump 2020 Press Communications Director Aaron Perini. Great to have you both back.
Thanks, Shannon.
Great to be here.
And just in case people couldn't see it on screen, that doorway or the front windows of the office, the GOP office, was painted with "Eat Blank." Fascists. They use that specific word. And that's getting a lot of attention because of the president's remarks last week using the word semi-fascist to talk about a certain part of the Republican Party. And he says it's the MAGA part. So I assume those are the people that are going to be considered to be Trump supporters. This is what Governor Chris Sununu, a Republican, said on CNN yesterday.
But effectively call half of America semi-fascist because he's trying to stir up controversy. He's trying to stir up this anti-Republican sentiment right before the election. It's horribly inappropriate. It's insulting, and people should be insulted by it, and he should apologize.
Aaron, it doesn't sound like he's going to apologize. It sounds like the White House is sort of doubling down, like he's just calling these policies what he thinks that they are.
Yeah, it's really tone deaf from Democrats to continue to hear this kind of rhetoric. You hear it from Joe Biden, you hear it from Charlie Crist, you hear it from Kathy Hochul, where they are trying to alienate half of the electorate in the country, half of the electorate in their state. It is not a winning solution to try and alienate voters. What is a winning solution is to talk about policy positions. So let's do exactly that. For Republicans, what do you see? They want to lower taxes. They want to get kids in school. They want to make sure that kids are not indoctrinated in schools. And they want to make sure our streets are safer. That's what we're looking at when Republicans win the House and when they fight to win the Senate. Democrats and Joe Biden would be best served to stop trying to alienate Republicans and anybody who they disagree with, and instead, maybe keep a promise for once and actually try and unify the country.
Okay, well, he did keep a promise, he's saying, on student loans. We'll get to that in a minute. But in the meantime, Mercedes Schlapp tweeted this. She says, MAGA Republicans, we want strong borders, fair elections, schools that don't indoctrinate our kids, to save babies, be tough on crime, protect our constitutional rights, and put America first. Biden, these people are fascists. David, does he have to be careful with using that word and potentially having the same problem that former Secretary Clinton had when she talked about baskets of deplorables? And that did not work out well for Democrats moving forward.
The president is calling it how he sees it, and he's been extremely clear. What he said was that he's calling on Republicans, on independents, on Democrats to unite together to push back against this MAGA extreme philosophy. And he's calling it semi-fascist because we have many people that are denying the outcome of the presidential election with no real facts. And so that's the reality, and that's why President Biden is saying this. And he's calling on Republicans. He's not saying half of the electorate. He's talking directly to Republicans that recognize that the MAGA wing of the party is taking hold and it's ruining the rest of America. So that's why President Biden is talking about this, and I think it's resonating with many people.
All right, Aaron, quick comment on that, and then I want to move to the next topic, because I heard you. I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, he's sitting here talking about how Republicans are sitting here not acknowledging the results of election. Look at Democrats. Look at every time they've ejected on the House floor. Look at Hillary Clinton talking about how she should have won in 2016 and she thinks she won. Democrats, look at Stacey Abrams in Georgia. Democrats don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to this topic.
Okay, so let's talk about...
Are we forgetting about January 6th?
I think there have been plenty of people on both sides of the aisle who have been unwilling to accept election results, and so they have to account for that and how they explain their positions on both sides of the aisle on that. But let's move to student loans, because I want to make sure I get both of you guys in on this as well. This is what we're hearing from the New York Post tonight. They talk about these 13 states they could actually potentially recognize if you are forgiven $10,000 to $20,000 of your loans. 13 states, including New York, may break from the federal government and consider the discharged debt as taxable income. The Tax Foundation analysis estimates that borrowers in Hawaii could face the highest maximum liability if the states decide to tax the reduction as much as $1,100, depending on the borrower's tax bracket. So you get the money forgiven. It's considered as income into your pocket in some of these states. They could take legislative action to change that, but I want to get you both to comment on that potential unintended consequence. David, to you quickly, then Aaron.
Yeah, the Tax Foundation says this is a preliminary assessment, and this is a worst-case scenario that you point out, $1,100 in Hawaii. This is very simply addressed by having an administrative change or a legislative change, and I did this when I was in the New York State Senate. We decoupled from the IRS when we saw what President Trump was doing with the repealing of the SALT, the state and local tax deduction. So this is something that will easily be fixed, and they acknowledge in that report that these 13 states will dwindle as states take action and respond to make sure people aren't hit with this. And this is a marginal tax rate. So this is the highest income earners.
And Aaron, quickly, we still don't have an explanation on how this is getting paid for.
Well, because Democrats don't want to admit that it's going to be through inflation and higher taxes on the American people. When you're talking about upwards of $1,100 for the student loan debt reallocation to the rest of the country, and it is costing the average American family $661 per student more to cover costs to get their children to school this fall, Democrats are making it way too expensive to live in the United States. And instead of putting solutions forward, they're name-calling to Republicans. Republicans have the solutions. We've seen what a Republican booming economy looks like, and that's what you get when you vote for Republicans in November.
We'll see what independents think. I have a feeling they're going to be a big key to whichever side comes out on top just weeks from now. David and Aaron, in the meantime, thank you for joining us.